guys, Coach Ross of Coach Ross Football. Bringing you this video. This is a continuation of my videos I started before, which was entitled Answers to the Defense's Answers. In this video, we're going to touch on corner. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video. I'm going to do combined 2x2 and 3x1 into the same video. So stick around and watch the whole video. If you do anything different, or if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me on Facebook, Instagram, or even go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer it if you have any questions on this. So hope you enjoy the video. You see our ace formation is our 2x2 standard set that we have. I'm just going to give a real quick overview on how we run corner out of the 2x2. Like normal, we are having our slot receiver. They are running a 4-step corner route. Their aiming point again is the front pylon. If we are outside the 20-yard line, if we are inside the 20, then they're aiming the back pylon. Y here, if we're doing it on the right side, is running a 1 to 2 step snag route, which is just an extension or an extended stick route. He's looking for the space in between the middle linebacker and the linebacker that is head up over our slot receiver. He's going to look for that space in between there and just settle up. And then our F, or our running back, is running a swing route to the concept side. And then on our back side, we are running a 1-step slant with our slot and a 3-step slant with our outside for our man beater on the back side. So that is how we run corner out of 2x2. One things we're looking for first here again is the corner. We read the corner first. If he bails, we come off the corner. Then essentially this whole concept just turns into the stick concept when we are going to read this player that is head up or inside of our slot receiver. And again, just like stick, we make him wrong. We're going to make this player choose either he's going to take the running back or he's going to sit in that area where the stick route is going to end up going in between the middle linebacker and that outside linebacker. So, and if we don't like anything here, again, quarterback has the freedom to choose any one of these backside. He's never told to ignore the backside, so he's always looking backside pre-snap as well. So that's how we run corner out of our 2x2 set. Looking at our early Z corner play, in our 3x1 formations, Z always runs the corner route. Also, just like in stick, Z will always run the stick route. H will essentially replace the F and run a arrow route or a flat route, and Y or X will either run the snag route, which they're looking for the space in between these two players right here and settling up. And the rules and everything still all still apply. Z is going to run that 4-step corner, aiming for the pylon. H is just essentially going to take 1 step towards the line of scrimmage, and then he's going to cut it and run parallel to the line of scrimmage and heading towards the sideline, looking over his outside shoulder. And Y is going again 1 to 2 steps, and then he's going to slant it off and then settle up in between the space for those defenders and just with his hands up. F just runs a swing to the opposite side of the concept, and X is essentially our backside man beater as well, running a 1-step slant and possibly even settling up in between the space in between the two middle linebackers. So that's how we run our corner concept out of our 3x1. This is a quick recap of it. And then we're going to go ahead and get into some different things the defense might try to do to stop this. All right, so again, we're going to go back to our 2x2 formation here. We're going to show you some things that essentially we see in our league here in North Carolina that defenses try to do to take certain things away and try to pressure to make life a little bit hard on us. So this is the basic formation that we typically see. Sometimes we may see where they drop a linebacker down on either side to try and take away that swing. And then this linebacker shifts over as well. A lot of times, because we hit the running back a lot out of the backfield, what we will see a lot of times is, again, a linebacker to the side of the running back is shaded on will come and try and take he will either rush, go ahead and try and rush this way towards the quarterback, or try and meet the running back in the flats to try and take away that swing. Well, if they do that, you have a couple options here. Again, if they show this pre-snap, because again, if they don't show this pre-snap and he does this and he stays here and tries to take away that swing again, we can still hit that swing if it's open, because that is a lot of distance for that linebacker to cover. It will cause this linebacker to have to shade up here and show pre-snap. So quarterback will see that, because more than likely this linebacker is going to shift over to try and cover in the middle of the formation. What that does then is now that opens up the space in this area right here in between the two linebackers that are head up for a one-step slant on the backside. And we again tell our quarterback not to ignore the backside. He has the freedom to throw backside anytime he chooses. He can even, in this type of formation right now, we can either hit either one of these backside slants, even if we call corner every single time, because again, quarterback's going through his concept. He's going to pre-snap what he's got, and then he's also going to look backside before he even gets into his cadence and starts getting ready to receive the ball via the snap. So a lot of times we'll see this linebacker drop over. Another thing we will see is we will eventually see corners start coming up tight. Now, again, if we're calling a corner play, we don't mind seeing this corner come up tight like this, because even if that corner bails and he's up tight initially, we're telling the quarterback first, if we call corner, he's looking where this corner is lined up initially first. So pre-snap, corner being pressed coverage like this, up tight on Y, allows us that open space back here to get that corner out, since the receiver's only taking 4 steps, and on that 4th step, he's planting with his inside foot, and he's heading towards that pylon. It's very difficult for that corner, unless he completely full-on sprints backpedals or, bails out in a full sprint. The corner's not going to get to that space. So if we get press cover on the outside again, we're going to be taking that corner shot. So that is one thing we might see as well, is we see the corners getting pressed, trying to take away the easy stuff. Sometimes too, we will see this linebacker press, and this linebacker press and the corners press as well. We see this a lot, where they're trying to just go full on man across the board and try and disrupt our timing off the line of scrimmage. If they do this and our receivers get off the line, get a release, again, you have your option right here to your F. Because again, unless that linebacker comes right here and he's going to take away the flat route as much as possible. But again, we go through periods in our practices where we are teaching the receivers to get off press coverage, using their hands aggressively to get off the press coverage and get a release. So again, we are confident that our receivers are going to be able to break the line of scrimmage and then get into their route. And again, this is part of our quick game, so the quarterback's going to make that quick read. And if he sees this corner in press coverage, he's going to take one step and he's going to get the ball out in this open space, and that receiver's job is to get there. But even still, even with these press coverage like you see here, we do have the man beater backside that we can take advantage of as well. Very rarely do we see this where we're just getting a true 3-man front with no other pressure coming. But again, if they try and do this and they are sitting, and we're going to use this defensive end as a linebacker. If they are trying to do this and they're just going to sit in coverage, again, same rules still apply here in our 2x2 set. Same rules do apply. Okay, we are still watching the corner. If that corner bails, we come off the corner. And essentially, we are playing the game right here with the linebacker. Okay, and essentially just turns into stick. Watching this extended snag route, or essentially is an extended stick route, and RF on the swing. Okay, so again, kind of like what Coach Mackey used to say, I've adopted it. If this player goes out, we throw in. If he stays in, we throw out. Okay. Sometimes what they will try and do is with that 3-man rush, drop this player down here to try and take away that swing. One thing we do here as well is if they are trying to take away this swing like that, and that player is going to shade whatever side the running back is on, we have a signal where what we will do is we will move F to this side, and we will still tell him to run his swing. And a lot of times what happens is this linebacker then tries to shade over, and these linebackers shift over. Okay, and so we will run the swing to the opposite side. So if we see that, we will just run the swing, and we'll just tell the running back to run the swing to the opposite side of the field, and he is still part of the concept. So sometimes we will have him do that as well. And if we start seeing them getting a little fancy with some of their creation or their plays as well, their formations and how they're covering certain things, we will also use motion. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. Here is an example of something we might do too if the defense is getting a little fancy with formations and then we are having trouble trying to figure out who's covering who. We will show up in an empty set, and we will use a pre-snap motion to kind of figure out who's covering who and how they adjust as well. So a lot of times, if we show up out of our empty set, so for example, this set right here is our ace blue formation. What we typically will see is a linebacker come out and try and get an inside shade on him. Another linebacker may split the difference between the tackle and our most inside slot receiver, and then linebacker and everything else on the other side stays the same. And what we will do is we may call ace blue Z corner. We may call it ace blue return Z corner, which return means for our running back, that's a motion call for him to simply just motion back into the backfield. And we can tell him either to line up here or we can tell him to line up here. And then from there, he goes into his route, which if we call corner, he's on. If you go corner, then he is simply, he is simply then on his swing route. And then we got our corner here and our snag right here. So sometimes we'll run them in formation like that. We also do have orbit motion. So again, using motion is a big way that that you can create mismatches. And also it's very interesting to see how the defense, because again, we won't give the defense much time. See, once F comes back into his spot, either here or here on the quarterback, because he will motion back into this area in the backfield, and he will get set. It won't be just a continuous motion. He will actually get set, and it can be on either side. We just give him one quick little signal. It determines what side he's going to. And from there, we run our play. We can either even tell him to come here, and he runs the opposite swing, where he's going to the opposite side. But what we're looking for again is how they react to that motion. How do they react to it? Do they automatically just shift over and bump over? How do they do that? And then based on that, the quarterback sees how they move. He's paying attention to where they line up and where they adjust. And then from there, he's making his read on where he's throwing the ball. So that's one way we use motion out of our 2x2 set. We will start out in an empty set, and we will pre-motion or pre-snap motion our running back to a determined spot where we want them. And again, using motion to play little mind games with the defense also kind of tells us how they're going to cover the empty formation, as well as how they're going to adjust when we go back, when we motion back into our normal 2x2 set. All right, so here you're looking at our 3x1, our early set corner again. And a lot of times what we see when we go into our early formation is this linebacker, backside linebacker. A lot of times we will see them drop him down as an extra pass rusher to try and rush the passer. And if our quarterback sees this, then he's initially going to look at this backside and throw that one-step slant right where the blitz vacated from. So we are definitely trying to take advantage of that open grass right there as well, especially since a lot of times we see this corner, he's got outside leverage and he's 5 yards. We don't see very much press coverage at all, because we have beaten teams deep, so a lot of times we get a pretty sizable cushion. So we will definitely take advantage of that open space there where that linebacker did vacate. So that's a lot of times what we see is that type of a blitz out of our 3x1 sets. Outside of that, we don't see too much pressure. And again, it's basically straight up like a man soft zone coverage. So these defenders again are just going to be dropping. So we pretty much have our pick of where we will, where we will throw the ball. Excuse me, a little pause there, a little mind fart there. So that is one thing we will see typically. Again, same rules do apply. We're going to read corner, and then what we do is we read this player right here, okay? Because a lot of times this middle defender here, if we see 3 defenders on it, he is going with the corner route. He's going to go with that slot receiver. So we're going to watch this player. If this corner bails, we're watching this player right here to see if he follows along with the arrow routes, or does he stay put and watch the stick route? Does he stay put there? And in our 3x1 set, it's kind of nice too as well, because we are always going to have our F doing a swing play or a swing route, to the opposite of the concept. So if for some reason they do decide to just man up straight up and they are all in press coverage, quarterback see that he can immediately get this ball out to the swing. Right off the bat, if he sees this and he doesn't like what he sees, he can just immediately get it out there. And then what the defense typically will do is, again, they'll bring that linebacker down and try and take away that swing, or go immediately after that swing. And again, we just hit this backside slant right in behind it as well. So that is one that is a lot of the ways we attack with a 3x1, what we're looking for. And out of the 3x1, based on what the defense does, what we can do against it, and what we see a lot of the times. Because again, like I said before, we don't see too many pressure situations as far as them bringing more players than we can block too often when we come out in a trip set, because they are so focused on this trip set and what we were trying to do with these trips, that a lot of times they will just lead the defenders out to stay in coverage to try and take away all the passing lanes. For example, I'm going to show you now, I'm showing you the ace formation here, but this is one way we also use motion to kind of try and disguise what we're trying to do, and to try and but trying to play a couple mind games as far as messing with the defense pre-snap too as well. And it's done for a couple of reasons, to see how the defense is going to cover, how they adjust, how they react to it, and it tells us a few things. It shows us where we can attack, and also it gives us an idea of what we can attack later in the future based on how they react to the motion. But sometimes what we'll do is we will show up in our ace formation or our 2x2 set, and we will use a pre-snap motion, and it can be done one of 2 ways. We do it one of 2 ways. We'll motion H here, and he'll stop. He'll stop here and get set, and then we're back. We start in our ace formation, and now we've all of a sudden just transitioned into our 3x1 set. And this receiver can either shift over a little bit, or they can stay put. We can do it either way. It doesn't really matter. We can have them both shift over at the same time. But from there, if he motions and gets set, then he just goes in, and we just say if we're staying with corner, he comes in here and he's still running his arrow. He's got his snag, and then there's the corner, and he's running his opposite swing, and he's got the slant. And you can do this either way. Again, if we were doing this, typically what we'd like to do is, again, have this backside receiver in a little bit more when we come out in our pre-snap, or when we're initially when we're coming our 3x1. But if we use motion, we can just leave that receiver out there a little bit. It also creates a little bit more open space here as well. Either way, we do it two different ways. Another way we also do this is, get this off the screen here, is we'll use what we call a rabbit motion, which means that he motions. Let me make sure I get the motion on here. He motions basically in full speed, and he's coming all the way across. And while he's coming in motion, quarterback snaps the ball. This receiver is watching these two receivers. Based on their movement, is going to tell him when he can start going forward, because obviously if you go in motion, you go forward, it's obviously a penalty. So what we do is we have him, while his eyes are trained on most outside receiver typically, and the movement of this receiver will indicate whether when that ball's been snapped. So he'll be going almost like a jet motion pretty fast, and then he immediately gets into his into his flat route, or his arrow route, excuse me. And he's in here. He's got the snag again, and there's the corner. And we run the corner this way as well. And these are just different ways we like to run the same play. This way we like to run the most, because again, he's going in that fast motion. It is hard. It makes it difficult on the defense to decipher who they are going to cover and whose assignment whose, especially when we bring one player clear across the formation. You will a lot of times see a massive scramble to try and figure out who's got who. A lot of times you will not see the defenders just switch off, okay? But there will be a scramble, and again, it creates a little bit of confusion, and we take advantage of that confusion, and it creates those open spaces, those open windows where we want to hit. And our progression with the corner out of 3x1 again is corner. We go corner to flat to snag, and then lastly it will be to the swing out here. But quarterback does have the freedom to hit the backside slants anytime they want, whether it's out of 2x2 or 3x1. So this is just one way we like to attack it as well. And this especially makes it difficult if, for example, that defense is dropping this linebacker out to take away the swing or to pressure the quarterback, because the quarterback sees this pressure coming off the backside. He can see that if we send this player in motion, he knows immediately that he has the flat route because he's running full speed. It's very difficult for one of these defenders, unless they switch off and do a good job of switching off, that player is going to make that catch. And like a lot of other coaches have said, that short little pass right there is one missed tackle away from a huge play. So I hope this has been helpful, fellas. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you enjoyed this video. I got more videos coming here in the near future. So if you liked it, feel free to subscribe to see future content, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. All right, fellas, I will see you in the next one.